Hi, my name is Patty Peckham. I'm co-chair of GreenYorktown, and this is Bill Kellner. We are both residents in Yorktown, and I'm wondering, what does this new tree ordinance really say, and how will it affect me and my neighbors? So I've invited Bill Kellner, chair of the Yorktown Tree Conservation Advisory Commission. First, can you please tell me briefly the history of the Tree Commission and how this ordinance came to be?
The Tree Conservation Advisory Commission was formed by the Yorktown Town Board back in 2005. This led to realizing that we realized that Yorktown did not have a tree preservation ordinance like most of our neighbors here in northern Westchester. So working with the planning department and then with the town board, the Tree Conservation Advisory Commission was formed, and it was tasked with coming up with a ordinance for tree preservation for the town.
So, what other towns in Westchester County have a tree law similar, and did you look at their ordinances?
We looked at a number of ordinances. We looked at the ordinances in all the neighboring towns that border on Yorktown, town of Somers, town of Newcastle, town of Cortland, in Westchester County, town of Putnam Valley and Putnam County, all have tree ordinances. We looked at those ordinances. We also looked at an ordinance that the town of Bedford has. So we were able to look at these other laws, decide what would be best for Yorktown, and that's what we've tried to incorporate in the Yorktown Tree Preservation Ordinance that we're proposing.
So, you were saying before that there were egregious instances of clear cutting and erosion damage. Did that cost the town a lot of money?
In some cases it did, because it's very expensive to solve some of these problems when streams get filled with sediment from improper cutting of trees. Also, there have been a number of instances where property owners have had damage to their properties, and it's been expensive for them to fix this. So by having a tree law in place, we may actually save money because we'll prevent some of this environmental damage that can be quite expensive to mitigate.
What will it cost the person who wants to cut a tree down? Are there, I understand it's a permitting process, are there fees?
Town board has indicated that it supports no fee permits, so we expect that you can apply for a permit for tree cutting without having to pay a fee.
Why should I be told what trees I can and can't take down on my property? Is this law telling me that I can't cut down trees on my property if I want to without a permit?
First of all, the ordinance doesn't say that you can't take down any trees, only that in certain cases you have to apply for a permit. Now, small trees, as trees that are under 8 inches in diameter, are not covered by the law, so you can take down as many of those as you want without applying for a permit.
So according to the Tree Commission ordinance, we measure trees at a height of 4.5 feet above the ground. Is that correct?
That's right.
And
That's DBH, diameter at breast height, 4.5 feet above the ground.
so let's measure some of these trees,
Okay.
and we can have a great visual for what this really means. So 4.5 feet is about right here. I'm 5'4", and this tree measures 17 inches and a bit on its circumference. Now, you were telling me that if you remember back to grade school,
High
or high school, if we multiply the diameter by pi, we get the circumference. So an 8-inch diameter tree times 3.14 is 25.12 inches. So this tree is 18 inches in circumference, so this is well under the 8-inch diameter limit.
So the diameter of this tree is less than 8 inches, so this tree is not covered by the tree law. You could cut down as many trees of this size as you want without applying for a permit. It's not part of the law.
This is a pretty good sized tree.
That's
very
right.
tall.
So you get to see, this is
So these trees and smaller.
yes, anything less than 8 inches is not covered by the tree law. So here's a perfect example of a tree that could be taken down without applying for a permit.
And actually even a little bigger than this. I'm
Even
not sure
that's
I have
right,
one.
even a little bigger.
Okay. Let's measure this tree. So Tell me again what it is, over 8 inches in diameter and under 18, what is the rule for that?
That's right. Trees 8 inches or greater in diameter, you can, and up to 18 inches in diameter, you can remove a certain number of those trees depending upon your property size. So now your property is larger than 2 acres. You're allowed to remove up to 7 trees without applying for a permit, and the trees between 8 inches in diameter and 18 inches in diameter.
So this tree is, in circumference, is 41 inches. So the diameter of an 18-inch tree we figured out was a 56-inch circumference.
Right.
So this is not a specimen tree.
Right.
So this tree falls under the permitting. I could
Right.
take out 7 of these guys
Right.
with no permit, but I would need a permit for beyond that number.
That's correct.
This is a pretty big tree too.
Yes.
All right, let's see if we can find a specimen tree. So here's an example of a specimen tree, because the circumference of this tree is more than 56 inches. And it's about 65 inches, just for a frame of reference. And this is a big, old, beautiful tree, which I would actually not want to cut down because it keeps my house cool. But this is a nice example of a specimen tree, so you can kind of see how big a specimen tree is.
So, so as a specimen tree, you would need to apply for a permit if you needed to take this tree down. It would require a permit.
It doesn't fall under the 7 per.
That's right.
2.5 acre.
Yes, even if you wanted to take down this one individual tree, you would need to apply for a permit because it is a specimen tree greater than 18 inches in diameter.
But I can take it down if I need to.
Right, you need to, but you need to apply for the permit.
And what about trees like this? Here. What about this tree? This tree is clearly a large tree, but if you look, it was hit by lightning and it's totally ripped out of the ground, so it's clearly dead. Do I need a permit for this? Do I need to take a picture? What is the rule here?
Well, the rule is this tree does appear to be dead. Dead trees do not require a permit to remove. So you could go ahead and remove it. The only requirement is that you preserve some documentation. So before removing it, you should photograph the tree and just have some proof that it's dead. But again, it's a case where a permit is not necessary and you can go ahead and remove the dead tree.
I was reading the ordinance and there is a section saying that I have to supply a map. This seems pretty burdensome. If I just want to cut down a couple of trees, do I have to provide a tax map, plans of my house, and drawings, and wetlands, and all that?
The majority of permits under the law really don't require that you get professional consultation or detailed plans. I think in most cases, a simple description of the tree or trees to be cut and a sketch would be sufficient.
You say that this will be a fee-free permit, most likely, but there must be some cost to the town. Will this raise my taxes or require a new department, or how will it be handled?
No, the permitting will be handled by existing departments in the town government. Most permits will be handled by the engineering department. In the case of larger development projects where permits are handled by another town board, such as the planning board, that board in those cases will handle the tree permit as well.
Thank you so much, Bill. That answers, I think, all my questions. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.